You think success comes from connection, from networking, from who you know and who knows you. You have been told your whole life that relationships open doors, that community builds strength, that you need people to rise. And there is truth in that. But there is a deeper truth that most will never tell you because it threatens the comfortable illusion that you can succeed without ever facing yourself alone. Carl Jung understood what most motivational speakers will not say. Before you can truly connect with others, before you can build anything meaningful with anyone, you must first learn to walk alone. You must learn to stand in your own authority without needing validation, without seeking permission, without requiring someone else to confirm that you are on the right path. This is not about isolation. This is about power. This is about becoming someone who creates from within instead of someone who waits for external conditions to align. Right now, in this very moment, you are dependent. You may not see it. You may not admit it. But your need for approval is controlling your decisions. Your fear of judgment is shaping your choices. Your desire to fit in is limiting what you are willing to attempt. And every day you remain in this state, you are giving your power away to people who will never live your life, who will never face your consequences, who will never carry your regrets. Jung called this identification with the collective. It is when you absorb the values, the beliefs, the expectations of the group around you and mistake them for your own truth. You become a reflection of what others want you to be instead of who you actually are. And the tragedy is that most people live their entire lives this way. They never walk alone long enough to discover what they truly want beneath all the conditioning. Learning to walk alone is the foundation of individuation. It is the process of separating yourself from the collective unconscious, from the mass psychology that keeps people obedient, predictable, controllable. When you walk alone, you are forced to confront the parts of yourself you have been avoiding, the fear you have been hiding, the anger you have been suppressing, the dreams you have been postponing because they did not match what others expected from you. This is shadow work. This is the descent into your own psyche where you stop performing and start discovering. And it is brutal, because when you are alone, truly alone, there is no one to blame. There is no one to save you. There is no distraction strong enough to keep you from seeing what you have been running from. Most people cannot handle this. They would rather stay surrounded, stay busy, stay validated by the presence of others than face the silence where their authentic self waits. But that avoidance has a cost. You remain fragmented. You remain reactive. You remain shaped by forces outside yourself because you have never developed an internal compass strong enough to guide you when the crowd disappears. And the crowd always disappears. In the moments that define your life, in the decisions that determine your trajectory, you will be alone. No one can choose for you. No one can feel what you feel. No one can know what only you can know. And if you have spent your entire life outsourcing your authority to others, you will freeze. You will doubt. You will look for someone to tell you what to do. And by the time you realize no one is coming, the opportunity will have passed. Success requires isolation. Not permanent isolation, but strategic isolation. You need seasons where you withdraw from the noise, from the opinions, from the constant input of people who think they know what is best for you. You need time where the only voice you hear is your own, where the only standard you measure yourself against is your own truth. This is where clarity emerges. This is where vision forms. This is where you stop reacting to what others want and start creating from what you know. Jung understood that the collective will always pull you toward mediocrity, not because people are malicious, but because the collective survives through conformity. It needs you to be predictable. It needs you to follow the patterns that keep the system stable. Your individuation threatens that stability. Your willingness to walk alone and discover your own path disrupts the collective agreement about how life should be lived. And people will punish you for this. They will call you selfish. They will say you have changed. They will accuse you of thinking you are better than them. This is projection. They are not reacting to who you are. They are reacting to what your independence reveals about their own dependence. They see you walking alone, and it forces them to confront the fact that they have never had the courage to do the same. They see you making decisions based on your internal authority, and it highlights how much they rely on external approval. This is not your problem to fix. This is not your responsibility to manage. Your only responsibility is to keep walking. When you learn to walk alone, you develop psychological sovereignty. You become someone who does not collapse when criticized. You become someone who does not need constant reassurance that you are on the right track. You become someone who can sit with uncertainty, with discomfort, with the absence of validation and still move forward. This is real strength, not the performance of confidence. not the arrogance that needs to announce itself, but the quiet certainty that comes from knowing yourself so deeply that no external opinion can shake your foundation. You cannot build this strength in a group. You cannot discover this power through collaboration. You can only find it in solitude, in the hours you spend alone with your thoughts, with your fears, with your shadow, in the moments where you choose to trust yourself even when no one else believes in you, in the decisions you make that go against everything you were taught because something deeper inside you knows it is right. This is not reckless. This is not impulsive. This is the result of doing the inner work that most people avoid. This is what happens when you stop running from yourself and start listening. Walking alone teaches you discernment. When you are constantly surrounded by others, when you are always seeking input, always asking for advice, always needing consensus, you lose the ability to hear your own intuition. You become dependent on external feedback to know what you think, what you feel, what you want. But your intuition does not speak in crowds. It speaks in silence. It emerges when you create space, when you withdraw from the noise, when you give yourself permission to know without needing proof, without needing validation, without needing anyone else to agree. Jung called this the wisdom of the unconscious. It is the intelligence that exists beneath your rational mind, beneath your conditioning, beneath the persona you have constructed to navigate social reality. But you can only access it when you are willing to be alone with it. When you are willing to sit in the discomfort of not knowing and trust that clarity will emerge if you give it time. Most people cannot do this. They fill every silence with noise. They distract themselves the moment uncertainty appears. They ask 10 people for their opinion before they trust their own knowing. And then they wonder why they feel lost, why they feel disconnected, why their life does not feel like their own. You must break this pattern. You must learn to walk alone before you try to walk with others. Because if you do not know who you are in solitude, you will lose yourself in every relationship, in every collaboration, in every group you join. You will adapt, you will perform. You will become what others need you to be because you have never established who you are when no one is watching. And this is not intimacy. This is not connection. This is codependence. This is the merging of identities where everyone loses themselves and no one grows. Real relationships, the kind that support your success instead of sabotaging it, can only exist between two people who have learned to walk alone first. Two people who know themselves. Two people who have integrated their shadow. Two people who do not need each other to feel complete but choose to walk together because it serves both their paths. This is rare. Most relationships are transactional. Most collaborations are based on mutual dependence. Most partnerships are two people clinging to each other because they are too afraid to stand alone. But you are not most people. You are reading this because something in you knows that you cannot continue living for the approval of others. You cannot keep sacrificing your truth to maintain relationships that require you to be small. You cannot keep waiting for permission to pursue what you know you are meant to do. The time has come to walk alone, not forever, not in isolation, but long enough to remember who you are beneath all the expectations. Long enough to build the inner strength that no external circumstance can destroy. Long enough to develop the clarity that comes only from silence. This is not easy. Walking alone means facing your shadow. It means confronting the parts of yourself you have been projecting onto others, the weakness you have been denying, the anger you have been avoiding, the fear you have been covering with constant activity. When you are alone, these things surface. They demand attention. They refuse to be ignored. And your first instinct will be to run back to the crowd, to find someone to distract you, to fill the silence with anything that keeps you from feeling what you feel. Do not run, sit with it. Let it speak. Let it show you what you have been avoiding. This is the descent Jung spoke of. This is the journey into your own unconscious where you retrieve the fragments of yourself you abandoned to fit in, to be accepted, to be loved. And as you retrieve them, as you integrate them, you become whole. You become powerful. You become someone who does not need the world to change in order to feel stable. You become someone who carries their own center. Success is not about connections. It is about integrity. It is about alignment between who you are and what you do. And you cannot achieve that alignment if you have never learned to walk alone. You cannot know what you truly want if you have never given yourself space to want it without judgment. You cannot trust your decisions if you have always needed someone else to validate them. You cannot build anything meaningful if your foundation is the approval of people who do not understand your vision. Walk alone now, not because you hate people, not because you are running away, but because you are running toward yourself, because you are choosing integration over performance. because you are claiming your authority instead of giving it away. And when you return from that solitude, when you have done the work, when you have faced your shadow and integrated what you found, you will walk differently. You will speak differently. You will choose differently, because you will no longer be controlled by the need for approval. You will no longer be limited by the fear of judgment. You will be free, and that freedom is what transforms everything. This is your time. This is your moment. Stop waiting for someone to walk with you. Stop looking for validation that you are ready. You will never feel ready. You will never have all the answers, but you have yourself. And if you are willing to walk alone long enough to discover what that means, you will find that you have always had everything you needed. The courage, the clarity, the power, it was never outside you. It was always within. You just needed the silence to hear it.